Today is January 7th, 2026. My name is Rob Carter of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, only one thing today. You'll remember that we had a government shutdown for about a month back in December, and it was basically over the issue of ObamaCare subsidies that the Republicans and the Democrats could just not agree. You know, the Democrats wanted to extend these subsidies and the Republicans didn't. And well, anyway, that lasted for a month. Well, the issue has come up again because we're rapidly approaching another possible government shutdown, I think at the end of January. So both parties are looking at the issue of Obamacare subsidies again. And I think the Republicans, now that the government is funded now, at least some of the departments are funded after the Democrats caved, but now that that is passed, the Republicans are now a little bit more open to extending some of these subsidies, at least partially. I don't want to, I'm not an insurance expert by any means, so a lot of this is way over my head, but the Republicans seem to be trying to compromise a little bit on this issue of extending some of these Obamacare subsidies, at least for possibly 2 years. And some moderate Republicans are working with some Democrats to try to come to an agreement on what both sides can agree on. And it's gotten kind of complicated because some Republicans have said that we don't want to compromise when it comes to federal funding for abortions. It's the Hyde Amendment issue, and that was passed in 1977, and it's an ongoing policy for the U.S. government that we don't fund abortions using taxpayer dollars. And the Obamacare, these subsidies might very possibly include federal funding for elective abortions. So that's a problem. And then Trump came in apparently in the last 2 days and said that the Republicans needed to be a little bit more flexible on this issue of extending these subsidies that would cover abortion. And there's been some pushback now by pro-life groups on Trump's statement about this flexibility. And I said before, I think we've all known really that that Donald Trump is not a true believer on being pro-life. He's pragmatic. He read the tea leaves, and that's where the majority of GOP voters were. But he's not. He used to be pro-choice. He's not really an ideological person on the pro-life issues with a strong conviction in his heart. He's not there. So when he wants some flexibility, he's thinking, we need to avoid a shutdown. We need to get this thing passed. We need to kind of moderate our positions. And pro-lifers will say, no, we can moderate on some things, but when it comes to federal funding for abortions, that is something that we are not willing to compromise on. So let me read this article. I believe this may have actually come from Fox News. So pro-life groups are warning President Donald Trump that the Hyde Amendment is non-negotiable after he told Republicans to be flexible when trying to pass health care legislation. In a Tuesday press release from Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, titled, quote, "Leading Pro-Life Group to Trump and the GOP, Hyde is non-negotiable." Its president, Marjorie Dannenfelser, said that Trump should not consider stripping Hyde protections from a health care deal. Quote, "For decades, opposition to taxpayer funding of abortion and support for the Hyde Amendment has been an unshakable bedrock principle and a minimum standard in the Republican Party. To suggest Republicans should be flexible is an abandonment of this decades-long commitment. If Republicans abandon Hyde, they are sure to lose this November. Okay, and that may be true. And I do think Trump's position on being flexible is also wrong. I'm willing to make some accommodations to extend federal subsidies, as if I have any kind of say in the matter. But I would support an extension of some subsidies. I think they're talking now about a possible 2-year extension that slowly kind of winds down. But when it comes to extending benefits for taxpayer-funded abortion, that's where I draw the line as well. That should be a non-negotiable issue. The Hyde Amendment is national policy. It should remain so, and it should be embedded in all these kinds of programs that talk about federal funding. Taxpayers should not be funding or supporting federally financed abortions through tax dollars. With that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time.